Now let's go to meteorologist Tamara Berg now with a look at our forecast. So yeah, wind not playing a factor there.
Yeah, things are really flat. In fact, there's just a lazy breeze out there, even flowing through Fairfield at this point in the morning. This is our sunrise time frame. Sun coming up about 30 minutes from now officially. Beautiful view here as we look at just kind of a little layer of haze as we look out towards Capitol Dome from the Exchange Hotel sky camera. Right now, it kind of feels mild outside. You don't need much layering as you're getting the day started. It's 66 degrees currently in the capital city. We will see a hazy, sunny start to the day. Temperatures in the low 70s by about the 8 o'clock time frame. We start to head towards noon, and yeah, that warmth just continues to build at 94 degrees at lunchtime. Daytime highs will be pushing close to that century mark again on this Thursday afternoon. I want to talk though about the Delta breeze, because while we don't have much of that breeze stirring about right now in Fairfield, the winds are light out of the north at 3 to 5 in Stockton and Modesto, and we have the classic drainage winds there filling in through the foothills. What we're going to notice as we head through the next 24 hours is more of this marine layer starting to slowly expand along the coast of California. That breeze is also going to increase a bit more as we head through the overnight hours. That's all going to signal cooling a bit more for the overnight tonight and especially into your Friday. Your foothills forecast for your Thursday: on our way to the upper 80s by lunchtime already, with daytime highs in the lower to mid 90s. Coming up in my full forecast, I'll talk in better detail about that Delta breeze and what that's going to mean as you plan out the weekend. 6:04 right now. Brian, if you're making plans to travel on the roads, what do they look like?
Oh, if you're heading out onto the causeway, we've got very slow traffic. This is a live look from the camera at Enterprise. A moment ago, it was almost to a complete standstill. I don't have any incidents reported along there, so perhaps there's some debris in the roadway or something up ahead that was bringing traffic almost to a complete standstill. You can see speeds now from about Childs all the way back into West Sacramento, speeds down to around 20 miles per hour, as you can see from the camera right there at Enterprise. So keep that in mind if you're heading out westbound 80. I'll keep an eye on it for you and try to get some more information. Westbound Highway 50 coming down through the Fix 50 project, still looking good. Interstate 80 westbound, Cap City Freeway and over the top, not seeing any problems to report there as well. Everything running at the speed limit along with 5 and 99 coming up from Elk Grove on that northbound commute. As we make our way towards Stockton, everything looking good here. Well, no delays on westbound Highway 4 if you're heading over into Pittsburgh. The westbound Interstate 80 from Vacaville to Fairfield right now, a 14-minute ride. 205 is a 28-minute ride across the top of the Tracy Triangle, and westbound 580 right now at 33 minutes over the Altamont Pass. Highway 50, 10 minutes out of Rancho Cordova. Interstate 80 Roseville to the Split, 9 minutes, and we're looking at 11 minutes out of Elk Grove on 5 and 99. Back to you.
All right, thank you. Well, investigators say they will be on the scene of a wind turbine that caught fire in Solano County last night. Take a look at this. Images here from Live Copter 3. You could see that turbine gutted by the flames. Some debris was seen falling to the ground, and it started a small grass fire. And take a look at this. The Montezuma Fire District shared this video of crews doing a water drop on the turbine. That's a Sacramento Metro fire chopper you see up there. You can really see the precision from these crews dropping it right on top of the flames.
Well, this morning, Southern California authorities are trying to figure out why a former law enforcement officer opened fire at one of the country's oldest and most famous biker bars. 3 people died. The shooter was also killed. 5 other people got hurt. It happened at 7 o'clock last night at Cook's Corner. It's in the Orange County mountain community of Trabuco Canyon. Dozens of law enforcement officers responded. Deputies say that they shot and killed the shooter 4 minutes after the first calls came in. Investigators believe that the shooter may have been targeting his wife. Meanwhile, witnesses nearby describe what they saw.
The lady's freaking out. She's telling me, hey, they're shooting at the bar. Don't go over there. Don't go over there. And sure enough, seconds later, I hear the shots. I see the shooter.
Of the 5 people who were shot, 2 of them are in critical condition. We are expecting updates on their conditions and the investigation later this morning, along with the investigation course.
Well, happening right now, we are awaiting former President Donald Trump's arrival at the Fulton County Jail in Atlanta, Georgia. Here's a live picture of it. Heavy security is in place with roads shut down. Mr. Trump says he will surrender today in the election interference case. More of his co-defendants have been turning themselves in over the past week ahead of tomorrow's deadline. We go to KCRA3's Amy Liu. She's in Washington now with more on what today's proceedings will look like.
Well, a lot like his co-defendants, former President Trump will appear at the Fulton County Jail today and in a historic first have his booking photo taken. That's after Trump's team and prosecutors negotiated his $200,000 bail, barring him from intimidating other co-defendants, witnesses, or victims in the case. Trump is expected to go through the normal booking process, but he won't be there for long. He'll post bail and be released until his arraignment hearing in early September. He'll join 9 other indicted co-conspirators who have surrendered as well, including Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, John Eastman, Kenneth Chesebro, Jenna Ellis, and Ray Smith III, all current or former Trump attorneys, along with fake elector David Schaefer, poll watcher Scott Hall, and a former Georgia Republican Party leader Kathy Latham. 9 remaining co-defendants have until tomorrow to turn themselves in. All again are accused of trying to help Trump overturn Georgia's 2020 election results. In Washington, I'm Mimi Liu, KCRA 3 News.
Mr. Trump and his 18 co-conspirators are facing a total of 41 charges. Each defendant is charged with at least 1 count of racketeering, often used to charge members of organized crime. We will continue to monitor this throughout the morning and bring you any developments as they happen.
Well, this morning, the first debate of the 2024 presidential race is in the books. And it was, as you can see, a pretty crowded stage there in Milwaukee. But the big question is, could any of these candidates have a chance against the leading candidate who wasn't even there? Our White House correspondent Kaylin Norwood has reaction.
From the economy to experience, climate, and the Constitution, Republican hopefuls took to the stage and took each other on for 2 hours Wednesday night. 8 Republican presidential candidates facing off for the first time this election season in a debate on the Fox News channel, and they came out swinging.
We need to send Joe Biden back to his basement and reverse American decline.
Talking about the economy.
We've seen inflation explode, which led to 12 Federal Reserve increases that's devastating home buyers today.
And how they tackle the country's toughest problems.
We need somebody who can actually constrain the growth of the federal government.
Now is not the time for on-the-job training. We don't need to bring in a rookie. We don't need to bring in people without experience.
They were asked about their positions on climate change.
I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax.
And abortion.
Can't we all agree that we are not going to put a woman in jail or give her the death penalty if she gets an abortion?
If we say that the Fed should be in on this one, where do we stop? I say that we follow the Constitution and this is returned to the states.
The former president skipped the debate, but was still a big presence on the stage.
Whether or not you believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong, the conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States.
It's important to note, when asked, nearly all the candidates said that they would support former President Donald Trump if he is the party's nominee. In Milwaukee, I'm Kaylin Norwood.
In a pre-taped interview with Tucker Carlson that was posted on social media, the former President Donald Trump explained his decision to not be there.
I'm saying, do I sit there for an hour or 2 hours, whatever it's going to be, and get harassed by people that shouldn't even be running for president? Should I be doing that?
And the next debate is scheduled for September 27th. That is going to be taking place at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute in Simi Valley.